I don't know why, but every once in a while I have the need to watch this film. Something deep inside my mind tells me I need to rewatch it, and I really don't know why. It's not like this is one of my favorite films or anything. I remember watching this movie when I was very young, maybe even around 10 years old, and that could have left an impression on my brain or something. I don't know. All I know is that I'm sick of having to download this movie whenever this need appears and not being able to recall the plot of the film. I must have watched Flightplan over 10 times already, and yet somehow I always end up forgetting everything that happens in it. Like the plot of this film is just so forgettable, my brain deletes all memories of it whenever it runs out of space or something. So this time I'm making a review. In case this happens again, I can always watch this video to jog my memory. Let's talk about Flightplan, a 2005 film directed by Robert Schwentek, however you pronounce that last name. I'm not familiar with this director, but reading up on his Wikipedia page, it seems that he's the guy that brought us this amazing film back in 2013. Not judging, just pointing out interesting facts about who made Flightplan. It stars Jodie Foster as a protagonist and a bunch of other well-known actors. This is one of those premise movies you find laying around on some shelf. A film with so little story that you could only remember it when somebody else describes you the premise and the actors in it. Like, if somebody asked you what you thought of that film with Jodie Foster where she's on a plane and her daughter is missing, and we don't know who took her and maybe the child doesn't even exist, you would probably remember this movie. Or you would remember something. The point is, there isn't a lot to the story of Flightplan. It's a simple gimmick movie, similar to those Liam Neeson flicks like Taken and Non-Stop. Except Flightplan tries to be more of a psychological thriller than just the action movie you saw last Sunday. It tries, but it doesn't really work out. By the third act, we have the typical good guy versus bad guy fight, and there's even an explosion, which we will talk about later. The movie opens with this horrible MTV-style sequence that just dries up the air around you. I couldn't think of a worse way to open a film. The first 5 minutes are so irritating to watch, it gives the impression the whole film is going to be a pretentious arthouse piece of shit. It's not, far from it. It's just this opening that sucks. This train sequence reminds me of the train sequence from Harry Potter, but this one feels weird and unrealistic, like this is a dream. This isn't what is actually happening. And it also looks pretty stupid. Look at how they are climbing those stairs. Are they robots or something? That's not how normal people climb stairs. Even when they walk down the street, their bodies are so stiff, it gives the impression they are nervous. The music playing in the background doesn't help either. It just sounds like something you have heard a million times over in other things. Remember those times when you were on the phone with the gas company and they suddenly have to transfer your call to somebody else, so they put on some trashy song for you to hear while you're waiting? This music is perfect for that. It's just the right amount of genericness and annoyance. The first 5 minutes suck. The second 5 minutes also aren't impressive. This movie has as much subtlety as Donald Trump.
Welcome to Berlin International Airport. Please do not leave your luggage unattended.
Random line about not leaving luggage unattended is relevant and foreshadows what's going to happen with her daughter. And if that wasn't enough, she loses her kid right after the guy switched to German. It's the same scene really. There's not even a moment to breathe. She just immediately loses her daughter. She finds her quick enough, and we have this lovely reaction where Jodie Foster's character doesn't come off like a crazy person whatsoever.
How many times do I have to tell you not to wander away from me in public places? Huh? How many times?
I was hungry.
Honey, it doesn't matter.
The thing that makes this scene weird and creepy is a smile forming on her face. When she says it doesn't matter, you can see the hint of a smile, almost like she's enjoying this way too much. It looks fucking weird. She changes her tone pretty fast and actually comes off like a normal parent concerned.
It doesn't matter, you scared me to... Look, you really worried me.
But that initial reaction was creepy. The best thing about this interaction between the two of them is actually the kid's acting. The child acting in this movie is pretty great. I mean, the kid isn't in the movie for that long, but while she's on screen, she does a great job at playing this emotionally repressed child. And I have to say that I prefer this 6-year-old's acting to the one-note crazy act they told Jodie Foster to play for the majority of the film. Afterwards, we have a moment of unintentional dark comedy.
Those men could fall.
They're not gonna fall.
But they could.
Holy fuck, is she raising a little psychopath? Even she realized how fucked up that was. Look at her face. Although, now that I have seen the film again and know that recently her husband, the kid's father, died by falling off a roof, this scene has more layers than I initially thought. It's still pretty funny though, and I doubt anyone is going to be making a frame-by-frame analysis of Flightplan to figure out all the secret meanings behind this film. Ned Stark is also in this, and for the purposes of this review, I'm just going to keep referring to him by his Game of Thrones name. I didn't even remember he was in this movie. First thing I thought was, how is his character going to die? Turns out he doesn't die. I know, it's shocking. There's another moment foreshadowing what's going to happen.
You just sleep, honey. When you wake up, we'll be somewhere else.
And then the premise kicks in. The kid is gone. I have to say, I never really understood why people say this.
Did you happen to see a little girl go by here?
No, sure didn't.
The word short should never be used in negative like that. It sounds wrong. I don't think I'll ever get used to this type of English. Anyway, what happens immediately after the kid is missing isn't very entertaining. In fact, it's pretty boring. The movie only picks up after the captain of the plane, aka Ned Stark, comes to talk with Jodie Foster's character. Before that, there were only two things worth mentioning.
She has sandy hair and it's in a ponytail, and she's probably carrying a chenille bear with one arm. And she probably just found a couple kids to play with.
Why is she getting defensive? She should have just asked for help straight away. This scene makes no sense.
Do you have any kids?
Do nieces count?
Yeah, almost.
They hate playing hide and seek with me because I always find them. So, fear not.
I know that was supposed to sound reassuring and everything. It didn't. It came off creepy and extremely uncomfortable. Her facial expression is all wrong. So the captain orders the plane to be searched, in what is one of the best scenes in the film, and they start looking for the girl. This is by far the best sequence in the whole movie, both in terms of suspense and entertainment value. I mean, Jodie Foster's character even accuses some random Arabs of being responsible for taking her daughter. This shit is amazing. Things get a little calmer when the captain tells her that her daughter died with her husband, making the protagonist really come off like a lunatic, and the plot only picks up again when she goes to the bathroom and turns off the lights from whatever section of the plane she's in. And I just love how complex and detailed this sequence is, when its whole purpose was just to distract the air marshal long enough so she could escape him. Like, she goes through all this trouble with the wires, and in the end all she needed was for the guy to be distracted for a few seconds, long enough for her to escape. It's little moments like this one that make me enjoy this movie more than I should. Unfortunately, the rest of the film doesn't have any other enticing or exciting sequences. There are a couple of good scenes, like Foster's face-to-face talk with the main antagonist, and I'm sure there's another good scene somewhere, but overall, after that trick with the lights, the film really died. We find out who has her daughter, but it's not like that revelation was remotely interesting enough on its own. Anyone could have guessed that this guy was involved somehow. His entire face screams, I'm up to something. You don't hire this actor unless you want him to play the antagonist, or at least a character with something to hide. But for some reason the film thinks this is enough to keep an audience entertained. It didn't. At least for me. The third act is one of the most by-the-book, cliché third acts for movies of this type. It's a typical protagonist versus antagonist crap without any twists or something to grab your attention. I mean, there are moments that grab your attention, but not for the right reasons. Like how this guy was wounded and I didn't know why. I didn't remember seeing him get shot or anything. The only time he was attacked was back when he boarded the plane and she just hit his face. But now he's walking like someone who just got shot or stabbed. So what happened? Turns out I missed this part. Yep, the guy injured himself. This shit is too good to be real. I mean, it's already bad enough that the guy keeps monologuing about his evil plan to someone who's not even close to him.
We picked her up, shoved her into the food bin, and nobody even looked up from their seat.
He's just directly speaking to the audience by this point. It's even worse that the guy gets injured, not because the protagonist did something, but because gravity exists. This movie is something else. They even try to tie the entire story together by having Jodie Foster's character say that her husband was pushed off the building, that his death was part of the plan. And of course, the guy monologuing confirms it.
Husband didn't jump off that building. He didn't fall off it either.
Okay. Your husband didn't fall off the roof. He flew off.
It just comes off like a lazy attempt to make the film seem smarter than it really is. They should have cut this part out of the film. She finds her daughter and even manages to kill the antagonist, although for a split second it seemed like the guy was trying to use his telekinetic powers to stop the explosion. See that hand? A pity he didn't actually have any telekinetic powers and ended up dying.
My God, she's...
What is she holding?
She's holding her daughter.
It's like they're watching Gandalf return or some shit. This is so silly. We even have some inspirational quotes to end the film, because why not?
She never gave up.
And I almost forgot about the Arabs. Is she not going to apologize to him? Why is he the one who has to make an effort and give her the bag? This is so stupid. She made him and his friend look like terrorists for nothing. This moment makes no sense. And that's Flightplan, everybody. A film that definitely won't survive the test of time. Although my brain likes to keep reminding me of its existence, I ended up looking what critics thought of the film at the time, and there wasn't anything too surprising, mostly just mixed reviews. Although I did find something I disagree with. The film received mixed reviews from critics who acclaimed the performances of its cast but found the screenplay less competent. The screenplay I agree, the performances I'm not sure. They aren't anything special. There are no bad ones, but none of them stand out as great. And Jodie Foster is very one-note for the majority of the film. She doesn't have much range. She plays a crazy person. I can't even say that she plays a concerned parent because of that defensive line. That line wasn't her fault, it was the script's fault. Whoever wrote this story didn't create a very dimensional protagonist for her to play, and Foster doesn't do much with the role, similar to Black Panther in the movie Black Panther, or Finn from Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker. I think critics complimented the acting because that's the only thing that doesn't come off generic. Like, there are a lot of well-known actors in the movie. Jodie, Ned Stark, the antagonist, and that contrasts with the plain, generic story the film has. The actors feel out of place. They are way too good for a movie like this. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm giving Flightplan a 4 out of 10. Not the worst movie ever made, definitely not the best movie ever made. Probably one of the least entertaining films that takes place on a plane though. I bet you have already watched this. If you haven't, you don't need to. It's nothing special. Anyway, see you next time.